Good afternoon. My name is Ileana Soto, corporate visa attorney here at Corporate Division by Union Law Group. You can find me at the San Isidro, California office. So today I want to talk about the H-1B visa and how we can help companies process these visas here at Corporate Division. If you have any questions, I invite you to put your question here in the comment section, and if there's time, we can gladly answer it. So H-1B season is definitely coming up soon. So it's important to know this information ahead of time so that you can prepare for your case if you are actually going to file for this visa. The deadline for submitting H-1B visas is split into two different sections. So essentially, the H-1B season starts in March with registration. Registration goes on for about 2.5 weeks. It usually starts the first few days of March. Last year, it started March 9th, so we are assuming that it's going to start around the same time. It will likely end around the 22nd, 23rd. So you have until then, you have that period of time to file the registration. H-1B visas don't work as a first come, first serve as far as registration is concerned. Anyone who registers, whether it's at the very beginning of registration or at the end of registration, will have the same opportunity to have a chance at submitting the full application for the H-1B visa. As many of you may know or may not know, the H-1B visa is taken as a kind of lottery. So at the end of registration, everyone who has submitted a registration will be put into, I guess, a pot, you would think, and then just names are going to be starting to be pulled out. If you're selected, you will be let known as soon as registration is over. Usually about the second or third day after registration is over, they'll start sending out, USCIS will start sending out selection notices. So then the second section, if it is that you've been chosen during the registration period, you will have the deadline to submit the full H-1B visa application. Usually this is anywhere between 3 to 4 months after you're selected. So if you're selected after this first draw, usually you have until the end of June to file your application. It could be sooner, but that's usually around the time frame that you're given. So just keep in mind, March is a first deadline. It's deadline to file a registration. If you're chosen, your second deadline will be what they give you to file the full application. So usually H-1Bs are for people that fill in specialty occupations, and essentially that's just a fancy way of saying that you are in a professional field that requires at least a bachelor's degree to be able to do the position. Employers and employees are involved. Usually it's primarily the employer, but we also need information from the employee. Usually, we like to let the employers know, make sure that the position that you're hiring for requires a degree, that it's usually requiring a degree, not just for this particular person, but just in general. If you're hiring for that position that you're offering for the H-1B visa, that it be something that is usually requiring a bachelor's degree. Obviously, make sure that the person who is applying for the visa has the requirements for you before you look into the H-1B requirements, because obviously the requirements for the position on the end of the employer is important, and then we look into the H-1B visa requirements. For the employees, we always just kind of have them get a curriculum ready, a curriculum vitae or resume, just so that we have an idea of what the experience level is, what the education level is, and etc. So to get started, I would definitely suggest having a consult with an attorney, because it is a bit of a complicated process if you are chosen to submit the full application. But to be able to get started and to go into the consult kind of ready to go, like I said before, the CV or the resume is definitely important to have on the employee side. For the employer, I would suggest having a summary, at least, of the job description for the person that you're offering the job to. And then for the employee as well, make sure to have copies of your degree, or at least anything that you have as far as training, certifications. If you have more than a bachelor's degree, that's definitely important to have ready. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, but you do have a high level of experience and you have certifications, that's definitely helpful as well, because you can try and do what's called an academic equivalency evaluation. And we can see if those things put together will allow you to basically say, oh, my experience level is equivalent to a 4-year bachelor's degree. That's an extra step, but it's definitely worth something to look into, because then it might mean that you actually qualify even if you don't have an actual bachelor's degree. If you already have an H-1B visa and you're looking to renew, it's important to know two things. One, that you are eligible to renew, that you haven't used up the years that you are allowed to have the H-1B, which is 6 years. Or if you fall into one of the exceptions, that you can just continually renew. Those exceptions we can talk about in a later video, but if you do fall into the exception, or if you have not finished with your 6 years, you can definitely renew. The requirements for renewal are pretty similar to the initial H-1B. Usually, they just ask again for the records of your education. They'll ask employers to write a letter that will basically say that you continue to need this person at your company and the reasons for it. We can definitely help with those kinds of documents. It's definitely something that we do when we assist with H-1Bs, renewals, and initial filings. So I would keep that in mind. Make sure you have the reasoning kind of set forward so that we can help with the drafting of the document. Another thing would also be that you take into consideration that you'll need to refile what is called the labor condition application with the Department of Labor. This certification is basically saying that you're asking them to continue to allow you to offer this H-1B visa to the person who has it, and that you are going to post this labor condition application at your place of work so that everyone's aware that has been offered, to continue to be offered to the person that already has the position. The same goes for the family members of the person who needs to renew the H-1B visa. If you're renewing your H-1B, your family members that are under your derivative status will also need to renew their status. You can either do that here in the US, you'll get an approval notice, but if you need the H-1B visa stamped into your passport, you will need to go to the consulate abroad in your country of origin so that you can get that visa stamped and you don't have any issues when you travel outside of the United States or Mexico or Canada. That's pretty much the basic info on the H-1B. I did a more in-depth video a few weeks ago. It's on our page, so you are more than welcome to look into that. And if you have any questions about that video or this video, feel free to let us know. I hope this information has been useful for you. If you have any questions about this particular visa or any other immigration procedure, here at Corporate Division by Union Law Group, we are at your service, and you can either call us at our office at 619-797-8180 or write to us at our Facebook platform, YouTube comments, or write to our email at hello@unionlawgroup.com. I also invite you to contact us to schedule an appointment to start reviewing the information to start the H-1B. It's definitely important to get started early just so that you are prepared for the process and are at least aware of what's going to be coming in for the next few months. But for today, that is all. I'm the attorney Ileana Soto, associate attorney here at Corporate Division by Union Law Group, and I will see you again next time.